Hello students, good morning. I am your KVR sir. I am today with one of the important lesson, of course easy lesson. One or two questions will be there in the NEET examination definitely. Of course the size of the lesson is reduced but importance is the same. Okay, let us we start the first lesson of our first class, that is living world. So some of the students asking regularly doubts in this chapter, though lesson appears to be easy, but many times the question is coming difficult, tricky questions are coming from this lesson. So let us start some living characters. So living organisms and their characters. So let us say growth, and second reproduction, and third is you can say metabolism, fourth is consciousness, and fifth is from the other side headings, not from the same side heading, in self-evolving, self-regulating, interactive systems. So now this is section B question. Section B question. How many of these are characters shown by the living organisms? These are the characters shown by the living organisms. General characters is a different word. General characters is a different word from the defining characters. Clear? So growth is the fundamental feature. Fundamental feature of all living organisms is the growth. But growth is not a defining feature. Growth is not defining feature. I'll finish this character in only couple of minutes because this part is deleted, but still you have to have the knowledge for this lesson biomolecules. In the biomolecules, everything is mentioned there regarding metabolism, regarding the growth, regarding the self-regulation, everything is mentioned there in the metabolism. So in biomolecules, so let us we see growth characters. Growth is the fundamental character. It are twin characters. Increase in number of cells, increase in biomass, increase in biomass. Clear? What are the twin characters of the growth? This is one PYQ. Twin characters of growth is increase in number of cells, increase in biomass. So growth, if you talk about living organisms, it takes place from inside, intrinsic. Growth in non-living organisms is extrinsic or external. So if I talk about growth in plants, as the plants have meristems and the root apex and shoot apex, continuous. And growth in animals is up to certain age. So there is one discussion in the growth and development. We do have one lesson, that is growth and development. In that lesson it is mentioned that as assertion. So both in biomolecules as well as plant growth and development, the same concept is discussed regarding the growth, regarding the development, regarding the metabolism, That is why the features of the living organisms are deleted from the living world. But still do remember, these concepts are mentioned in some other place in the textbook. That is why these are important, still important. So in NEET, you cannot expect a question whether the question is from the living world or from the plant growth and developments. That is why certain concepts were deleted. Growth in plants is open. Assertion, growth in plants is open. Reason, new cells are being added. Continuously by meristems. Students, please note down this question. Assertion, reason question. Growth in plants is open, so new cells are being continuously added to the plant body by the activity of the meristem. A and R are true. Correct explanation. First option is correct. A and R are true. Correct explanation. Was it clear? Was it clear for you? Because new cells are continuously being added in plants. Meristems will continuously synthesize new cells. So growth is said to be open. In animals, our bone size is constant. After certain growth, bone size will be ceased. There is no further growth in the bones. So in animals, growth is said to be closed. And one more, this A and R are true. Correct explanation, first option. Clear? You have to remember it. Then let us we see second assertion reason that is expected from the assertion. Development in plants is open. Development in plants is also open. There in the same plant growth and development textbook statement says that reason, different tissues are formed by the same meristems. This is one statement, correct? Or other reason I will write, tissues produced by the same meristem perform various functions at maturity. This is also correct. Means that if a meristem cell divides or cuts one cell, that is not remaining as that cell. It is getting differentiated so as to perform specific function. So that is not remaining like that. One cell is developing into xylem, one cell is developing into phloem, one is parenchyma, one is collenchyma, one is mesophyll tissue, one is trachea, one is vessel, one is companion cell. All the cells are formed from the meristematic cells. Hence, development is also open. Got it? These two are first options. A and R are true. Correct explanation. Another question in this same statement number 1. Growth and differentiation. Growth and differentiation together called development. Growth and differentiation together called as development. Growth is open, differentiation is also open, because different cells are formed, they are differentiating into different kind of tissues. This is called as differentiation is also open. Clear? Growth plus differentiation together called as development. And statement 2, growth is not defining feature of the living. So both statement number 1 and statement number 2 are correct. Growth is not defining feature of the living. Sir, you may ask one question, sir, you told me that growth is the character of the living organisms. But what is happening here? Some non-living objects will also grow. So in that way, I can create another assertion region question. This is assertion. Growth is not defining feature of living organisms. Living organisms. Yes, got it, got it. And now I will write the reason. Non-living objects can also grow. Students, please write down carefully in the notebooks. Non-living organisms can also grow. That is why growth is not defining feature of the living organisms. Was it clear? In one more PYQ, previous year question. What is that question mentioned here is that is assertion. That is in unicellular organisms. Unicellular, not assertion, this is statement question. Statement 1 question. Unicellular organisms. Growth and reproduction. Growth and reproduction mutually inclusive events. Statement is true. Statement is true. Why? Because if you take an amoeba, freshwater amoeba, okay, if it is undergoing division, binary fission, so 2 amoebas are formed. Now what happened in this? Was the growth is happened because increase in number of cells is growth, or reproduction is happened? You cannot differentiate clearly. So in all unicellular organisms which undergo binary fission, students do remember amoeba, bacteria, paramecium, euglenoids undergo binary fission. So whatever organisms undergoing binary fission, growth and reproduction are mutually inclusive events. Means you cannot differentiate them. Clear? Come back here. Let us go to a new place to define reproduction. Reproduction. What is reproduction? What is reproduction? Production of new individuals. Production of new individuals more or less identical to the parents is called as reproduction. Is of 2 types. One is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. Another one is asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction? What is sexual reproduction? What is asexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction means there should be 3 events should happen. The first event is gametogenesis. Gametogenesis. In male, sperm formation. In female, egg formation. Spermatogenesis and oogenesis is the first step in sexual reproduction. Second step, gametic fusion. Gametic fusion. 2018 or 17, if I am not wrong, most crucial event in the sexual reproduction is both gametes have to be fused. Gametic fusion. It is called as fertilization. Fertilization, or you call it as syngamy. syngamy. And third step is meiosis. Meiosis. Students, do remember, if new individuals are produced by these three steps, what is the three steps? Gametogenesis, gametic fusion, and meiosis. Gametogenesis, gametic fusion, and meiosis. That is called as sexual reproduction. If three steps is missing, 1, 2, 3, any step is missing, that is called as asexual reproduction. Can you define now what is asexual reproduction? What is not sexual reproduction is asexual reproduction. What is not sexual is asexual reproduction. So vegetative reproduction is a kind of asexual reproduction, because vegetative reproduction do not follow any of the three steps. Hence reproduction, vegetative reproduction is called as asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction takes place by means of spores. In some cases they produce spores, clear, or you can go with binary fission, budding is seen in yeast and hydra, binary fission amoeba, spores are produced in fungi, fragmentation, true regeneration, and by forming the vegetative propagules. Vegetative propagules. Vegetative reproduction is quite common in higher plants, like where you have rhizome, corm, bulb, stem, tuber. All these are vegetative helps in vegetative reproduction. Clear? So vegetative propagules are formed in vegetative reproduction. So asexual reproduction takes place by means of fall, and sexual reproduction takes means by formation of gametes. So asexual reproduction do not involve gametogenesis, gametic fusion, and meiosis. They will directly form spores, or binary fission, or budding, fragmentation. Binary fission, or I call it as fission. Multiple fission is also possible, and spores or even cyst formation in some animals. Cyst formation. So these are asexual methods, these are sexual methods. Clear? Reproduction. Shall I go for the next page? So assertion, reproduction is not defining feature of the living. Students, can you mention the correct reason? Reproduction is not a defining feature of the living organisms, because reason, some living organisms cannot reproduce. Okay, they are formed, they are born, but they cannot reproduce. Example, mules, hinny. Mule is formed between male donkey and female horse. Hinny is formed male horse and female donkey. And these are some certain ants are there. In ants, three types of ants. One is the queen, that is the mother. Only queen will have the reproductive capacity. And another one is the king, that is the male. and rest of the ants are, that is called as worker ants or worker bees. Worker bees are sterile. And I will add one more, infertile couples. Infertile couples. So mule, hinny, ants, that is called as worker ants. Worker bees and infertile couple. I don't want to write sterile couple here. Infertile can be fertile by taking some precautionary things or some medication. They can become fertile. Sterile will never become fertile. So here I mentioned infertile couple. So there are different methodology are there for making infertile couples into couples. You know very well, in vitro fertilization. The sperm cell is isolated from the father and egg cell is isolated by the mother and fused in the test tube outside. In vitro fertilization. Clear? Clear? So infertile couples. So these are the living organisms, but they cannot show reproduction. So reproduction is not a defining feature of the living organisms. So reproduction is not all inclusive. All inclusive. I forgot this line. Here reproduction is not all inclusive defining feature of the living organism, because some organisms are living but cannot reproduce. And are true. Correct explanation. Shall I go for the next page? Over. Now the most important. Why this metabolism side heading is deleted from this lesson? Metabolism is very important. So person in coma, in NCERT textbook there is a question, person in coma is living or non-living. So person in coma, he is not having consciousness but having metabolism. How can you define metabolism? Sum total of all chemical reactions taking place sum total of all chemical reactions taking place in the body of living organism together called metabolism. In the biomolecules lesson, most beautiful definition is given. So what is life? What is life? Life, a continuous effort to prevent, to fall in, what is life? Is a continuous effort to prevent, to fall in equilibrium. Students, listen how beautifully the life is defined here. If you physical and chemical systems will reach equilibrium. If I charged my mobile for 3 hours, it will be useful after for 4 hours or 10 hours. After 10 hours, mobile will be switched off, because input of energy is equal to work done. Input of energy is equal to work done. So on the other case, if you give 1 liter petrol to a running Activa vehicle, so it may reach 40 kilometers. After 40 kilometers, it will be stopped. It means input of energy is equal to work done. So when input of energy is equal to work done, system will reach equilibrium. System will reach equilibrium. At equilibrium, systems cannot perform work. At equilibrium, systems cannot perform work. Continuous input of energy should be there. Like if you go for railway stations, if you go for any airport, there will be no power cut. There will be no power supply disturbance, because continuous additional input of energy is there. Our body is also like that. From our back end, large quantity of ATP support is there. If I am doing, there is an exercise, loss of energy, loss of ATP. Again, system will give you continuous input of energy. You can work. When this energy is over, if you are eating, again energy will support you. If you are eating, again support you. If you are stop eating, that energy size will be reduced and you will also reach equilibrium. Is nothing but the death. So what do you mean by death in our physical world? Is a man or a human being system has reached equilibrium. So now what is life? A continuous effort to prevent to fall in equilibrium. It is possible by continuous energy supply, continuous supply of energy. Was it clear? Continuous supply of energy, it is possible by metabolism. So metabolism is if you want to live, certain chemical reactions should be taken place in your body. Okay, metabolism is a defining feature, or metabolism is the feature, or metabolism is a second line and writing basis of life. So what is very essential for a living system to live? That is metabolism. So metabolism is the defining feature. Metabolism is the basis of life. Metabolism includes anabolism and catabolism. Both anabolic constructive reactions, that is photosynthesis, protein synthesis, ATP synthesis, this is constructive reactions, are anabolism. Digestion, excretion, release of energy is catabolism. Both anabolism and catabolism helps in the growth. So growth is, previous aims question, growth is the result of metabolism. Growth is the result of metabolism. So you can take certain enzymes in this test tube, that is amylase. On enzyme I have taken amylase. Okay, I have taken boiled rice. After 10 to 15 minutes, after 1 hour, let us all boiled rice will be digested by amylase. So I have taken a living enzyme. I have taken boiled rice. So whatever thing happen in our stomach, the same thing will happen in the test tube also. So what I call it as isolated metabolic reactions. Isolated metabolic reactions. These the one reaction is taking place in the test tube by the enzyme. This is neither living nor non-living. So you may get confused, sir, this reaction. So what is, if it is it should be living or not living, but the reaction taking place with help of the enzyme, hence it is a living reaction, but not living thing, and I will explain the same. The same amylase is working in our stomach and digesting the boiled rice. That is living reaction and a living thing. If the same amylase is digesting boiled rice in the test tube, it is living reaction because enzyme is there, but it's not taking place in our stomach, not living thing. So isolated metabolic reactions conducted in vitro. Conducted in vitro. In vitro means inside the test tube. Isolated metabolic reactions in vitro. So it is section B question. A, B, C, D. How many of these are correct with respect to an isolated metabolic reaction conducted in vitro? That is neither living nor non-living. If you observe the fungus on a bread, slice of bread, okay, and the fungus is growing on this, the fungus rhizopus, the fungus is growing on this, the fungus produces hyphae, okay, the fungus produces sporangia also. These fungi have three types of hyphae. One is rhizoids. Fungi, how it will eat the bread? It will secrete enzymes outside. The enzymes will digest the food material outside, and digested food will be absorbed by the rhizoids. Got it? So digestion is extracellular. So that is neither living nor non-living. Fungi digesting food materials outside the cell, neither living nor non-living. Was it clear? Some important lines regarding the metabolism. So metabolism is no doubt defining feature of the living organism. Okay. Now I'll come consciousness. Consciousness is equal to aware of surroundings. Aware of surroundings. And irritability. Both are slightly different. Consciousness, irritability. Consciousness. So I have seen the switchboard. I don't want to touch the switchboard, because if I touch the switchboard, the current will pass and that will be affecting me. So with that consciousness, I do not touch that switchboard. What is irritability? By mistake, I touched the switchboard. I have taken my hand. So with a slight shock. So that is called as a response to stimulus. What will comes first? This will comes first. So if something is cooked on the gas stove, that will be very hot. You cannot touch directly with your empty hand. Okay, because you have that consciousness that pot will be very hot. By mistake, if you touched it, so it's very hot, you will leave the pot. So that is called as irritability. What will comes first? Consciousness will come first. Aware of surroundings, very important, because all living organisms, I repeat, both prokaryotes and eukaryotes, aware of their surroundings, have consciousness. They can respond. Physical, that means light, temperature, hot, very some acids, strong acids, you will not touch it. That is physical awareness. And chemical, I told you, just like chemical, they can respond to physical stimuli, chemical stimuli. Physical stimuli, it is very hot outside, you won't go outside, that is you are responding physically. Chemical, the name on the bottle, it was given as a concentrated HNO3. concentrated HNO3, nitric acid. If you put your finger, including the skeleton, your skeleton also, muscles and along with the skeleton bones will also dissolve in concentrated HNO3. So you can respond chemical and biological stimulus. So what I mean to say, living organisms can respond physical stimuli, chemical stimuli. So if you put your hand like this, one mosquito is landed on and starting to sting your muscle, you will bite it. So that is biological stimulus. So all living organisms. So now I would like to say the consciousness is a defining feature of all living organisms. Because person in coma have metabolism but do not have consciousness. Clear? Done. And coming to the interactions. Okay, this is organization, complexity of the body organization. Okay, and cells interact to perform the function of the tissues. All tissues interact to perform the function of a particular organ. All organs interact to perform the function of the organism. Clear? If you have lost one kidney, it can be replaced by other's kidney. If you have lost liver, it can be replaced by other's liver. If you have lost your eyes, it can be replaced by other's eyes. You don't have any kind of change. What I mean to say, features present at organism level are not seen at organ level. Features present at organism level are not seen at organ level. If I cut little finger for 100 people and ask the 100, take your own little finger, no one can expect whose finger it is. Okay, their own finger they cannot recognize. Features present at organism level are not seen at organ level. If I remove the hair, so many people remove the hair. Can I take my own hair? No. Can I take my own hand? No. Because features present at organism level are not seen at organ level. Features present at organ level are not seen at tissue level. Features present at tissue level are not seen at cellular level. Clear? Presented to not seen. But in this direction, what you will understand? All cells interact to perform the function of the tissue. All tissues interact with one another to perform the function of an organ. All organs interact with one another to perform the function of the organism. So this is called as interactions. Okay, another feature is self-evolving. So by the 5 years old you are first class student, by 6 years second class students, by XYZ year 7th class, 8th class, 10th class, 9th class, intermediate. Was anyone is doing like this? You are evolving your own style. Okay, self-evolving, self-regulating. Self-regulation. This is an important word, self-regulation. Self-regulation, I call it as homeostasis. Homeostasis, present in most of the higher vertebrates. Homeostasis, that includes osmoregulation, thermoregulation. This is self-regulating. Self-regulating means maintain stable temperature. Your body temperature is 98.4 Fahrenheit. Exactly. For every human being, normal body temperature is 98.4 Fahrenheit. Clear? Clear? So this temperature is regularly not rising down, not rising up. Okay, that is because of your thermoregulation. So the osmotic condition, so entry and exit of water to the cell, osmoregulation, both comes under homeostasis. Self-evolving, self-regulating, interactive systems are called living organisms. Okay, was it clear? I have defined the growth, metabolism, reproduction, and you can have a consciousness, you can have interactions, you can have irritability, self-evolving, self-regulating, interactive systems that perform work without reaching the equilibrium. Equilibrium is death, without reaching equilibrium. So what is life? It's a continuous effort to prevent to fall into equilibrium by continuous input of energy. Continuous input of energy is possible by the metabolism. So metabolism is the basis of life. This is all about the characteristic features of the living organisms. Thank you very much today. Thank you.